Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Alex the Martian, a game studies professor and professional game developer. For those of you who don't know, I've worked on titles for Nickelodeon, Netflix, all this other good stuff. Today's talk I'm titling Let Go, Create, and Share, and the reason for this is it's inspired by a good friend of mine who also works at AAA game studios, and he's also worked at a few other smaller studios with me. He recently sold pretty much all of his action figures, a lot of his belongings. He got rid of a lot of old pictures with the girlfriends and things like that because he got married and he has kids now and things like that. And he was making space in his life for starting his own indie projects, for being creative, for going back to school to get a master's degree. And so over the years, I've seen many talented creators struggle with a subtle obstacle, and that's not a lack of skill or ambition, but the habit of holding on to things they don't need. So today I want to really talk about how hoarding ideas, objects, or unfinished projects can sometimes mask untapped creativity and how freeing yourself from that habit can lead to incredible breakthroughs. Many artists and creators and indie game developers, myself included, tend to collect inspirational knickknacks. If I gave you a tour of this room, you would see toys and books and all this other good stuff just floating around. So there's like a figure here, a trinket there, a bookshelf full of items that remind us of dreams or spark our creativity. And that's completely okay. Like I mentioned, I have that stuff going on here, and it's very inspirational for me. These things can be powerful tools to fuel your imagination, but there is a tipping point when your collection becomes so overwhelming that it feels more like a burden than a source of inspiration, and it might be time to reflect. When I say collection, as I mentioned, that could be ideas of past things holding us down, just trying to free ourselves from any negativity and just freeing ourselves to have space to work. So as I mentioned before, I love these stories called the Desert Fathers. So let me share a story about a monk and a man who learned this lesson the hard way. So one day, a monk was going down the hill from his monastery to buy food for the monastery. Along the way, he found a man sitting by the side of the road in front of his house crying. The monk stopped and asked, "Why are you so upset?" The man replied, "My wife has taken our children and left me. She said she couldn't live like this anymore. I love clay vases, and I filled our home with so many that there's no more room left for her or the kids. She said, I've chosen the vases over my family." The monk thought for a moment and said, "Sell your least 3 favorite vases and use the money to buy a pottery wheel. Then, instead of collecting vases, make one for yourself. Pour your feelings into the clay, shape it with your hands, and let it be your therapy." The man thought for a moment and asked, "How is having more vases going to solve my problem?" So, a month later, the monk passed by the man's house again. To his surprise, the home looked completely transformed. The man was outside smiling and singing as he worked on a vase at his pottery wheel. His children were playing happily in the yard, and his wife was bustling around the house, which was now free of clutter. The monk asked, "What happened? How are you feeling?" The man beamed and said, "I never realized my love of vases wasn't about owning them. It was about creating them. Making something with my hands brought me joy, then collecting ever did, and my family came back because I made room for them in my life." This story teaches us something profound. Sometimes the things we hoard, whether it's objects, ideas, past emotions, or unfinished projects, are simply untapped creativity in disguise. We all have a need to create and share. Collecting inspirational items or brainstorming endless ideas can feel productive, but true fulfillment comes from taking action, making something real, and sharing it with the world. Here's the key takeaway for me. If your collection of ideas or objects, past feelings, are holding you back, it's time to let go. Use that energy to create something new instead. There's a saying, "Show me a man diligent in his work, and I'll show you someone who stands before kings." It's not the hoarding of ideas or things that achieve greatness. It's the creators, the doers, and the sharers. So if you're a student, channel those things into your schoolwork or your game projects or whatever it is you're doing at school. If you're a game developer, indie or what have you, finish your game ideas to the best of your ability. And if you're an artist, don't let the inspiration become your limits. Share what you've made with the world. Even if you feel like it's imperfect, that's okay. The act of creating and sharing will bring you more joy, growth, and opportunity than hoarding ever could. So let go of what's weighing you down and make room for your creativity to shine. Because when you create and share, you not only free yourself, you inspire others to do the same. I hope this video was helpful. If you're a student of mine, I can't wait to see you in class or online. Thank you, and keep creating.